Good evening. It's been an excellent set of presentations. My hearty congratulations to whoever came and spoke about the projects that they have taken up. Especially, I don't know how they manage the timelines, right? In fact, I think the first presenter said that this was actually printed on ITC board. I wanted to ask him, how did you manage to get the board in the first place? Okay, because we are known for slightly slower deliveries, right? Okay. Now, there's nothing much for me to show today, but there's quite a lot to tell, right? So that's what I'm going to attempt, right? We've been talking about sustainable packaging for almost a couple of decades now, right from the time we started declaring ourselves, when we did the studies and said we are the only company in the world of comparable dimensions to be carbon positive, water positive, and solid waste recycling positive, right? So from that time onwards, we've been speaking about sustainability, and we've been actually working towards becoming more and more sustainable. So I'm going to cover a few areas of our journey so that people who have started on the journey now will know what to expect, and then we can take it forward, right? Next slide, please. Okay, so when we used to go and talk to people sometime in 2000 to 2005, everybody thought sustainability means raw material, right? I remember going and talking about sustainability to a large corrugated box manufacturer, and he simply waved me away by saying, oh, we are sustainable because we use recycled kraft, right? So that was the approach as far as the initial part of the decade was concerned. Next. And then people thought it was about processes, steadily, definitely to anybody who's the owner of a unit, right? You go and tell him, look, here is energy saving, and it's not actually energy saving. You're going to reduce your electricity bill, and you're going to save so many rupees per month, right? So that started to be the key, that, okay, if I'm going to save some money, and also, if I can declare myself to be sustainable, then why not? So it became processes, then power, as I spoke to you about, then came the 2015 to 2022, suddenly these terms started being thrown at us, life cycle analysis, circular economy, net zero is what they are now talking about, right? All these terms started being thrown at us. So typically today when brands talk to us, they ask, can you tell me for one carton of mine, what has been the carbon emission, right? So that's going to be the next level that they're going to start asking. And slowly it might become a regulation to start printing on the carton that this carton has emitted so much of carbon dioxide or equivalent of carbon dioxide, and also what has been done to mitigate this, right? Which means we as paperboard suppliers have to tell you how much of carbon dioxide has been emitted. Then you will have to measure your entire process of conversion and then add up to that and then give that to the brand manager. So that's the next level that we're going to talk about. Next. So if I have to look at sustainable packaging, what used to be just raw material became raw material and processes, then became end-of-life disposal, and then became certifications, and finally started becoming a key marketing tool for any brand to start saying that, look, we are not harming the environment while bringing this product to you, right? So that's the communication. So it's a very simplified definition of sustainable packaging that we're doing here. Next. So I'm going to bring you to a topic which kind of involves all of us. I don't know how many of you are already aware, or you might be already dealing with it. It's called the Extended Producer Responsibility Rules, which the government has now made mandatory for all producers, brand owners, and importers of certain size. MSMEs are at present exempted from it, but whatever we supply to MSMEs, we are supposed to account for it. It simply says it has categorized plastic packaging waste into 4 different categories: rigid, flexible multi-layer, plastic with paper or plastic with aluminum foil, and the 4th being biodegradable plastic. And for the last 2 years, we had to give an average of how much have we sent out into the market. A target has been given back to the companies saying you have to collect back so much. And they had spoken about an environmental compensation at that point of time if we fail to meet the target, right? That's what the rule came about. This entire EPR is based on the weight of packaging. So whatever we are now going to start designing, the next time we sit down to design a carton or design a packaging, it's going to be dependent on What is the quantum of plastic that's going into that packaging? Simple things, which will attract, which will hit us first, is your BOBP lamination on top of the carton. You will have to declare how much of it has been done, and that portion of that plastic has to be collected back by the brand. If you're an MSME, then the brand has to do it. If you're not an MSME, then you have to do it. So overall, there is a digital portal which has been created in CPCB, into which we feed the data. The government wants to look at all India material balancing as far as plastic waste management is concerned, and fix the responsibility of collecting these plastic wastes back from the market, right? Going forward, they have also put a mandate on how much of recycled packaging, how much of recycled plastic your packaging must contain, right? So we thought it's going to take some time, they'll give us some time and things are going to be fine. But 10 days ago, the environmental compensation has also been announced, which means the penalty has also been announced, right? So if we fall short of our EPR target, right? So it's around 5,000 rupees per ton of falling short of the target. That's the first violation. Second violation, the fine becomes 10,000. Third violation, the fine becomes 20,000. Fourth violation, you get deregistered, which means you can no longer do business. The really attractive part in this is where the government means business is that it doesn't mean that I pay the fine and I don't have to collect. Even if I pay the fine, we are still responsible for collecting the balance of the waste that needs to be brought back. Only thing is, if I collect it within a year, they'll return 75%, second year 50%, by the third year 40% of the penalty that was paid. But then from the fourth year onwards, you still have to collect, but you don't get back any of the penalty. So if you are talking to any large brand today where plastic is being used, almost all of us would be looking at some kind of a firm, some kind of a third party who's going to help us comply with these rules and regulations. Which means for all the plastic that we put out, somebody is going to do the numbers, calculate and help us collect and recycle. Okay, so that's a new business opportunity which has come for a lot of consultants and plastic recycling guys. Now, the average cost that they are asking is 15,000 rupees per ton of plastic handled. So that's 15,000 rupees for compliance per ton. Your environmental compensation for first violation is another 5,000 rupees a ton. So 20,000 rupees a ton on plastic packaging is the cost that's going up for the brand, right? And all of us have dealt with brand managers. They don't like the term cost increase. If you take a 200 rupees per ton laminate, and this 20,000 rupees increase is going to be almost a 10% increase. They don't like it. So each and every one of us in this room is going to be put on the mat by saying, look, can you completely eliminate plastic from the packaging that you're giving me? No films, nothing. Can you eliminate it and give it to me? That's going to be the demand which is going to start coming in the future. Not possible. Especially if you have got a product which needs moisture vapor or water vapor resistance or oxygen resistance. It's not possible today. Even in paper, it's not available. Right? Work is on. Globally, including ITC, globally work is on to build papers with barriers to these, and if they can replace flexible packaging at some time, but that's at least 3 to 4 years away. So for the next 3 to 4 years, each and every one of us will have to be very, very innovative on what are we going to design as far as our packaging requirements are concerned. Now these global brands have started working on it, right? Many of them have already made multiple commitments. There are 10 different commitments from each of these brands on every aspect of their packaging, starting from either reduction or elimination of plastic, or using reusable plastic, or the source being concerned, or what is the commitment they have given on how much they will collect, right? It used to be only the corporate which was giving the target. Unilever used to give a target. Unilever will say, I will collect back 50% of whatever plastic I put out, right? From last year onwards, we have started seeing brands giving these commitments. So while Unilever will have one commitment, under Unilever, Dove will start giving a commitment. Right? I'm just giving Unilever and Dove as an example. Right? So from corporate level commitments, it's now gone down to brand level commitments. Now the minute it comes to brand level commitments, he's going to come to you as your packaging supplier and say, these are all the things I want first on the environmental front. Right? So that's what they've been doing. So products with minimum or no plastic content, and of course, barrier to water, oil, and grease. Yeah, next. And previously we used to say, that we will reduce X percentage. Intensity targets used to be taken. Slowly we realized that intensity targets are no longer cutting, right? So now we have started taking absolute targets, which means I will say that I will reduce X quantity of water per ton of paperboard manufactured every year, right? So that is what will happen. Slowly that's what's going to happen. And it's a multi-pronged approach, as I told you, material research, packaging design, everywhere there is a change which is happening, and plastic waste collection and recycling targets are becoming important, because today, if you don't do it, you're going to end up paying a penalty, right? Next. Yeah. Go ahead. So I thought I'll just quickly talk about some of our products and solutions. I haven't brought the products here, but you can take a look at it quickly. These are, Philobev is our aqueous coated coating for paper cup manufacturing. Right? Typically, paper cup has 15 GSM of LDPE in it. We have eliminated the LDPE. We've got an aqueous coating with which you can form the paper cups. But this aqueous coating also has somewhere around less than 1% of plastic in it. Right? The advantage is, if you have an LDPE coated board, you need a special kind of pulver to delaminate the LDPE and then recycle. Whereas for this grade, you don't have to do it. It can go with your regular cartons, newspapers, and corrugated boxes for recycling. The next is the Omega series, which is our bio-based compostable solutions as far as bowls and cups are concerned. You can click twice so that the full slide appears. Right? So if you look at this, here also I spoke to you about the packaging waste. They said on biodegradability, point number 4, category number 4, we still have to declare where have we bought the raw material from on a quarterly basis, to whom has it been sold, and when was it collected, and to which composting center has it been sent. Everything has to be certified by a suitable body, government authorized body, and the government can send their own auditors at any point of time to take a look at this, right? So there are two, there is one test which is the IS 17088. Unfortunately today only the CPET labs are authorized to do it, which is your compostability test, which means they'll take your packaging, subject it to a compostability, and after 6 months say whether it has passed or failed. So you'll have to do that. Second, having made a compostable product, you still have to go and register yourself with CPCB as a supplier of compostable products. You will find many suppliers already listed, most of them are making biodegradable carry bags. But the law somewhere says biodegradable carry bags are commodities or product. So therefore, if you needs to have a CPCB registration. The catch here is, you might buy Omega Bev Bio from us and convert it, say, into a carton, or you might convert it into a paper cup. The law says you also have to register with CPCB, and you also have to submit your numbers to CPCB. Only then you can print. Then they give you a QR code. CPCB assigns a QR code, which you can print on the carton, which when the inspector scans, it will take you to your certificate on the CPCB portal. People have been asking, why should it be done? Because I am only taking a compostable board from ITC. I am just printing and converting it into a different shape. True, we are trying to talk to the government to see if at least that portion of it can be removed. And if only with our certificate itself we authorize you to print our QR code, and then you can go out and use it. We're still trying. We don't know how successful we'll be. So that's going to be the next level of compostable packaging. Some of the samples which you see here are, of course, for food service and packaging, and the earliest adopters of this aqueous coating by eliminating LDPE has been the Quality Walls ice cream carton. Now this year many have shifted, many of the ice cream bowls have also shifted to this kind of packaging, where LDPE is completely removed and they have gone into a fully compostable or a fully recyclable material. And something as simple as lollipop sticks, earbud sticks, which moved away from plastic because it was simply banned. Overnight paper had to be developed for the same level of stiffness and water resistance or the resistance to saliva if it's a lollipop stick, while taking care that it's a child who's going to be having it, and therefore there is no kind of contamination in it. So that's what has been developed as far as the sticks are concerned. What you see on the next is a product which Unitas had shown you. I don't know if it was our board, but this is something called Sign Up Green, where we have now come up with a multi-layer, up to 2 to 8 type of material, which is board pasted together, built up in thickness, okay. With FSC certification, it can be delivered if you want, so that wherever foam board or plastic PE sheets or corrugated plastic is being used, this can slowly replace, at least as far as display and design boards are concerned. The next level of this is what we are thinking would be for the packaging or weight holding or weight bearing capability. So that's going to be the next one that you'll be working on as far as these boards are there. Yeah, next. Multiple certifications. So that is something which I would not like to cover, but I would like to show what others are doing, right? And these are all the global peers, people who operate in India and also who operate abroad. This is what each one of them is doing. I'm going to read out this slide because from the back you can't see this. UPM Specialty Papers has got a heat sealable and recyclable barrier paper for dry and frozen foods. Unilever has a biodegradable detergent capsule and plastic-free box. Mondi has a paper which is used for packaging pasta. Puriton and Pro-Ampac has got a high barrier recyclable paper for nutritional powders. KFC, of course, with compostable material. And of course, molded fiber products for lids, right? So I told you that getting to paper with oxygen barrier or water vapor barriers is difficult, but most of these guys seem to have reached quite far ahead of us as far as these solutions are concerned. So we are also working on something similar so that we will be able to give you a heat sealable coating which will have some oxygen barrier on paper, but the bottom line is that it has to be recyclable with conventional paper. Any paper waste, the customer should be able to throw out the pack and it should be recyclable, right? So that's the next level of work which is now going on. Probably it will take a year or two for us to actually launch the product, right? Next. So let's look at some emerging demands. SKU-wise carbon footprint, I spoke to you about it during my presentation. Recyclability versus compostability. Let me ask you guys a question. Which do you think is good? Recyclability or compostability? One answer recyclability, one answer compostability. Any other answers? Compostability? Any other answers? Fair enough, I agree. I agree. For example, one of our earliest products was a PLA coated product. Now the minute you do PLA, it needs an industrial coating, industrial composting facility. But then the minute you shift out of PLA, you go into PBS, you can do it at home composting. The next one which is coming, which is not yet reached India but will be coming soon, is something called PHA, polyhydroxyalkanoates, which is something similar to PBS, but slightly better than PBS, and it seems to have all the answers to the questions that we have as far as compostability is concerned. Home compostable, that's the next one that people are working on, right? So coming back to answer the question, if you look at the waste hierarchy, they always say when you compost, what happens is good quality virgin fiber is getting eaten by a microorganism to be converted into carbon dioxide, water and humus. So that's not a good use of virgin fiber, right? So it's better to recycle. It's better to design for recycling. It's better to educate your customer to segregate so that they do not mix wet waste and dry waste together. They throw away our cartons and our packs that we have painstakingly designed. On disposal, it goes into a dry waste so that it can be collected and recycled. So recycling is always better than compostability, right? This is something which we are trying to talk to the government about and saying, look, don't say everything has to be compostable, that's not good. It's good for ITC because every time you'll have to keep buying virgin board. More and more virgin board will be sold, but it's better to recycle as far as the environment is concerned. Yeah, next. Cost, compliance, compensation and testing. In fact, every presenter who came on the show and tell, and they presented some exquisite products, superb designs, and some crazy timelines, to the extent of Flash or Superman kind of timelines, in which you've been able to deliver all these things. Were you paid for it? Anyone? Did you get your value for it? For whatever you did, for the entire package that you delivered? Huh? Good. I'm very, very happy that you did it because we've been put under this, what do you call it in English? We've been put under this Maya of reverse auction. The minute you want to go into larger numbers, somebody will send you a link. It will open up to a crazy website. It will say reverse auction. Brethren will be pitted against each other like the Mahabharata war, and some crazy prices will come out for those cartons, right? And we participate. We participate because we think that that is required to fill the machine, right? Actually, I come a different school of thought which says that is not required to fill the machine. If you do lesser number of high value jobs, you will still get your money. Your machine may not be fully occupied, but you'll still get your money. But then we can't stand that. We need to, I'm from, typically most of our boards are in the offset industry, so you need to listen to that thing running. 24/7 you want it running. You want to hear the sheets falling. You want to see that punching happening, right? So that is a demon which we'll have to exorcise from ourselves if we are going to start demanding value, right? Otherwise, today evening you will see all the big printers will be coming for the typical award ceremony. Most of them would talk to you about diminishing returns. Same customer, larger volume, lesser number per SKU, diminishing value. Right? That's because we have somehow forgotten the art of demanding value for our job. So I'm glad that you said that you do get it out of these customers. That's very good. Next. Premium demands, right? We saw that throughout the entire afternoon, you've spoken to us about premium demands. So this is what I wanted to cover today. I think the next slide is thank you. Just see whether it is. Yes, thank you it is. Yes. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.